Attention to all participants. Before we start the session, I would like to convey some disclaimer or the rules in this online meeting, where all of the participants need to mute their mic at all time, except for Q&A session. We will start this session at 2 p.m. in recording mode. Thank you for your cooperation. Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon. I greet to all participants, especially students and lecturers from University Tun Hussein on Malaysia. Today marks a day where we will be having an industrial talk on two interesting topics with two best speakers from Novade in Singapore and Bina Initiative Sendirian Berhad in Malaysia. Members of the floor, to bless the event, I would like to invite Muhammad Faiz bin Kamarum Talib to lead the Dua recital.
A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Ya Allah, ya Tuhan kami, hanya padamu sahaja kami panjangkan kesyukuran atas segala rahmat dan berkat-Mu. Bersempena dengan majlis pada hari ini, kami memohon inayah dan taufik-Mu. Kurniakanlah kesejahteraan dan kebahagiaan pada kami. Bukakanlah hati-hati kami, lapangkanlah dada-dada kami supaya kami dapat mengisi ilmu dan pengetahuan yang berguna untuk agama, bangsa dan negara. Ya Allah, ya Rahman, ya Rahim, kami memohon padamu agar Engkau berkatilah majlis ini dengan limpahan rahmat-Mu. Semoga segala usaha kami dalam menjayakan majlis ini mendapat keridaan dan hidayah-Mu. Sesungguhnya pada hari ini kami berkumpul kerana-Mu, ya Allah. Kami berkumpul untuk menimba ilmu, bertukar pendapat, menyumbangkan buah fikiran, menghubungkan silaturahim dan memberi sokongan ke arah meningkatkan lagi prestasi jabatan kami. Ya Allah, ya Jalal wal Ikram, kami memohon kekuatan dari hadrat-Mu, ya Allah, supaya kami yang hadir pada hari ini agar kami dapat melaksanakan segala kebajikan. Dan kami mohon perlindungan dengan Engkau daripada melakukan keburukan. Ya Allah, kurniakanlah kepada kami kekayaan ilmu pengetahuan dan hiasilah diri kami dengan sifat lemah lembut, serta muliakanlah kami dengan ketakwaan dan indahkanlah diri kami dengan kesihatan. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanatan wa qina azabannar. Subhana rabbiyal azim amma yasifun. Wassalamu alal mursalin walhamdulillahirabbil alamin.
Amin amin ya rabbal alamin. Thank you Faiz. And now I would like to invite all to open the camera for photo session before the talk begins.
Okay, let me take your picture. Hold on, eh? Right, 1, 2, 3. And page 2. 1, 2, 3. And the next one, I want to put the speaker and speaker and moderator to be in the same screen. Hold on, eh?
Mr. Gary, one more.
Okay, let me find it.
All right.
All right. Okay, nice. Okay, smile everyone. Oh, hold on. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Without further ado, I would like to introduce the moderator and the speakers. Let me introduce our moderator first, Dr. Mohd Hafizal Hanipah from the Department of Civil Engineering Technology, Faculty of Engineering Technology, UTHM, also former engineer in Samsung Heavy Industries, so-called SHI, and Malaysia Marine and Heavy Engineering, known as MMHE. And next, I will introduce about the first speaker. We have Mr. Gary Lee, who is a regional sales manager from Novade. Mr. Gary has led the sales team for the Southeast Asia for Novade. He has more than 10 years of experience in construction industry globally, involving in well-known projects such as TRX, One World Trade Center in US, Shoreditch University in Canada, and many projects in Japan. With strong background in construction, he sees the need of having digital solutions to help grow the industry with the power of digitalization will help the organization to expand exponentially. The second speaker we have is Mr. Bruce Kong, who is a marketing manager from Bina Initiative Sendirian Berhad. He oversees the marketing and communication department in Bina Initiative and works with all levels of the organization in communicating the benefits of digitizing processes to relevant stakeholders. He is the product expert for reality capture using solutions from Metaphor and Leica. And now I would like to pass on to our moderator, Dr. Mohd Hafizal bin Hanipah.
Hi. Thank you to our pretty MC, Wan Emira, for giving the floor. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good evening to all participants. Mr. Gary and I will lead this session first, followed by Mr. Bruce, and hope we will gain a lot of valuable knowledge from our honorable speakers from industries. Not to be forgotten to all participants, not only this room in Zoom, but only the Facebook Live over there. So in the meantime, I will try my best to cover all the questions that you raised up during the session. And please, if anyone has a question, you can share with us in the chat box, and also please comment in the Facebook. Once again, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to Mr. Gary and Mr. Bruce for spending your precious time with us. Without further delay, please, Mr. Gary, the floor is yours.
Thank you, everyone. So I'm sharing my screen. I hope everyone can see the share screen. That's the first important thing. Yeah, okay, excellent. So once again, thank you everyone for having me here. It's an honor for me to be able to share with you all more about how we are looking into in terms of digitizing the site processes or even site operations. Myself, once again, I'm Gary from Novade Solution, and I'm actually handling the regional business. Okay, so not only in Singapore, but basically the whole of Southeast Asia as well. And it's an honor again to be here. So without much delay, I would like to share with you with the very first video from our client to share with you in terms of the benefits when you're looking into digitalization.
We are specialized in real estate property. We are selling landed houses and apartments. Nava Park is the premium quality, and I think it's the crown jewel right now in the BSD area. So it must, have the highest standard of all projects. The satisfaction of the customer is mainly produced by its handover session. So the handover session must be perfect. By the person of this Novade application and system, it really helps during the handover session. We can easily check every detail anytime at your convenience. And with this kind of system, we never miss anything right now. So it's really helpful to get where I want, which is to meet the customer satisfaction.
Untuk prosesnya sebelum menggunakan Novade, manual kita kurang lebih untuk pelaporan atau collect data kurang lebih 2 atau 3 hari. Tapi setelah menggunakan Novade, bisa dalam waktu itu juga kami menerima keluhan atau menerima data update dari project ataupun dari construction. Benefit penggunaan Novade itu sangat mudah sekali kami untuk tracking unit, kemudian status perbaikannya, kemudian juga kira-kira untuk progres perbaikannya ini dibutuhkan berapa hari, berapa lama, itu kami dengan mudah bisa mengetahui melalui Novade. Status perbaikannya pun juga kami bisa dapatkan ketika membuka dashboard di Novade.
Dengan Novade ini sangat memudahkan kami dibantukan terutama dalam recording data. Dan dengan Novade ini juga kita bisa mengecek kembali, oh mana sih komplain-komplain yang sudah lama, yang sudah pernah kita perbaikin, apakah itu berulang di tempat yang sama atau seperti apa gitu loh. Sehingga dengan Novade ini juga sangat membantu, dan terlebih saat saya mungkin di lapangan yang bertugas untuk mengecek defect ini, saat sudah mungkin lagi cuti atau lagi keluar kota, kita bisa mengeceknya apakah defect ini sudah dikerjakan atau belum. Yang membuat Novade itu sangat berguna sekali bagi saya itu yang pertama itu praktis, simple, efisien, go green, terrecord dengan baik, tersistematis dan terjadwal kapan dia harus segera selesai dan kapan dilaksanakan pekerjaan tersebut.
It's really hard for me before Novade to monitor all the units on daily basis. With this application, I can just open the mobile phone, open the Novade application and check the status of the unit that I want to see. The rectification of defect normally before Novade took like a month plus. With this Novade and constant monitor by the application, you can reduce half, maybe in 2 weeks is already done right now, and it's very practical. In my position, there are two things that are very concerning. First is cost efficiency. Second is the quality or customer satisfaction level. The two things is we must achieve it, and Novade help in both.
So from this video, I guess some of you may have already know or heard about Sinarmas Land. They're actually one of the biggest developers based in Indonesia, right? And we can see, right, from this video, right, in the construction industry is actually evolving a lot, even from the property developer side, as they are looking at ways to improve in terms of informations and things, right? So they are always looking into proficiency. From the video, you can hear from them. Even in terms of real-time sharing of data and increase in monitoring of their project. And most importantly, of course, we are always looking at customer satisfaction. So the answer to this is actually to build up your digitization and eventually looking into digitalization. Okay, which actually I believe this is going to be one of my key topics about today, right? So since it's going to be a key topic, I think this is a major question that we are always being asked, or Some of you may not even heard of this or may not be able to differentiate what's the difference between these two. All right, so anyone know what's the key difference of digitizations and digitalization? Most people actually got mixed up from time to time, even including myself, okay, to be very honest. So digitization is actually a process of converting information from physical format into a digital one. Okay, when these processes is leveraged to improve business processes, it is called digitalization. And the result of the process are actually called digital transformation. So I think everyone in your mind, there's a lot of digital and what's going on over at this point of time. Okay, I believe everyone is lost. So to make it in a very simple context, okay, what does these two basically means? Okay, digitalization, okay, is where, or sorry, in fact, it's digitization, okay, is where you scan a document on the paper, okay, save the paper and in the scanned document as a PDF to your computer. So that is basically what we meant by digitization, right? And for digitalization is where you scan a signed document, save it in a PDF, and upload it to the cloud system so that you can get access to it at any time, anywhere, and even use the data that is being generated for further analysis. So that is what we really meant by digitalization. It sounds simple. So how will it actually help us in today's construction world context? I think that is something that is very important. Okay, we really need to understand. Okay, so before we go into this full conceptual understanding, we will need to go into one very simple context, which is back to the basic of understanding what is construction journey. In the whole of construction journey, I basically, in short, I break it into 4 different categories. The first category is what we call it the design phase. Design phase is where a lot of people come together from different stakeholders, such as the property developers or the owner itself. You have different consultants that comes in, such as architects. They look into design, and time to time there may be even government officials because you need to get permits for your constructions, right? And subsequently, the next phase where we look into is called the pre-construction phase. Project team will actually have to plan activities in stages like this. Okay, you have to basically get things like the contract ready. You have to get people on site to examine the site, whether maybe the soil is ready for constructions. Basically doing a lot of what we call the preparation work and getting approval from the government agencies as well. The next phase, to most people, is actually the easiest phase, but it's actually one of the most tedious phase, which is called the construction phase. To be putting it in a very simple context is basically translating whatever that is being designed on paper, on your BIM model or whatsoever that you know of, into an actual building, into a building that people can be using it, or into a building that a developer actually wanted it, right? And most tedious part, actually, the last one, which is what we call the post-construction phase. Why I call this is one of the most tedious part after the construction is because this is where a lot of handing over is happening. In the future, if you were to buy a house yourself, or if you already have a house yourself, you understand this. But you only understand one portion, which is the developer, they themselves are handling the house over to you. But before that, there's actually a lot of handling over between different parties, from the contractors to the developers, and then going back to the contractors and coming back to the developers before reaching to your hand. Right, so this is actually getting quite messy, but by understanding this whole in fact, the whole construction journey in these 4 different stages, then the next thing that we need to understand is actually how each phase require help in terms of digitalization, or what is actually available to help in each phase. The first phase, we look into design phase. Okay, design phase is something that we do not do, but we understand that there's a lot of design phase software. In fact, you will have probably heard of them, such as like BIM system, where you need to do drawings and stuff like that. And then, of course, who are the people that is actually involved in this whole system? That will definitely be the owners, architects, consultants, and even authorities. This is where they look into drawings, right? There's a lot of all this preparation work that's being done. Subsequently, on the pre-construction phase, generally you have all the owners, architect, consultants, and authority people that's in this phase, including one more party, which is the main contractor. And generally, these are items that is being used or being done in this phase, where you need to manage a lot of management in terms of contract, workforce, quality control, so on and so forth. And the next one is we're talking about construction phase and the post-construction phase. So as you see that every phases that it goes on, there will be one additional party that actually comes along into the channel, right? Like people are getting involved in this whole sequence. So if you imagine that in the past, or in fact even currently, most of the project without any digitalization from design phase. If you have any friends who is in the architect, you will probably see him or her carrying like a big stack of A0 size paper, roll up, in a big chunk, traveling everywhere they go, right? Instead of having one computer, you will see like the contractors doing the same thing with a pile of paper going everywhere at the same time, right? Instead of doing the job that they need to do, which is to build, right? So in this individual phase, there are
So I think they have some disturbance from the bandwidth internet. So is it okay, Mr. Gary?
Yeah, it's okay. Then
okay,
maybe I can continue from here. Yeah, okay,
Right.
Yeah. So coming here is to look into so many industries, right? There is definitely a lot of industries that we know of. There's banking, finance. There is many other, like whatever we call aerospace industry. Where there is really a lot of innovations that is happening. Okay, and comparing in this factor, I'm sure you're just using a BIM as an example. Okay, which I believe everyone in the construction industry will have heard of BIM, right? And do you know that actually BIM software is considered a very low adoption rate, right? When you compare to all other industry. Okay. However, in the construction industry, a combination of BIM, IoTs, and even AIs, artificial intelligence, and most importantly, the mobile technology is actually bringing a whole new world. Why now? That is the key question, right? Why are we doing it now? Why not 10 years ago? The answer is very simple. Because of the availability of the technology, things are getting more affordable. Everyone is actually having a mobile phone. And with that, it actually helps us to get connected easily with one another. So these two key factors is helping teams to gather data on the field and making millions of analyses from the data collected. And these will basically help businesses, the main contractors, the developers to make good decisions. In construction industry, okay, for the past spending, right, construction related spending accounts to about 13% of the world GDP. So what does it mean by 13%, right? So putting it into context of dollars, 13%, in fact, the whole world GDP is about 80 trillion USD. So 13% is actually worked out to be about $10 trillion. Okay, and for Malaysia alone, we are looking at 121 billion RM in terms of spending in construction industry for digitalization. So this is a huge market that people are getting into, but at the same time, a lot of them is actually not tapping into digitalization. In the last 5 years, construction technology investments have doubled tremendously, reaching up to about 18 billion US dollars, right? And more of the part, of it is actually falling into mobile technology and into analytics and AI. Why is this two is the biggest investment? Because it has the fastest adoption rate in terms of mobile technology. Okay, and analytics and AI is the next goal thing that is happening, basically, right? So over here, before I even continue, I just want to ask a very quick question. You do not need to answer me, okay? Just look at what you are having, okay? So it's basically, how many of you are actually using iPhone 12 or even like Samsung Galaxy S20, basically all the very new phones that is coming out from the market? As simple as that, right? Why I'm asking this question is very simple, okay? It fits into these two categories where we look into mobile technology, okay? We are actually using, if you are using all these phones, basically all these phones is 5G enabled. Okay, but have you ever wondered when is 5G available? In Malaysia, we are talking about at least about 1 to 2 years time, where 5G services is going to be island-wide availability for everyone to use. But today, we are already using the mobile device that has that enablement. So basically what it means that the cost has reduced tremendously for people to adopt, and people, an industry that is building up mobile devices who want you to adopt this new technology, right, so that they can sell the services in the near future. So with all the investments, the market is basically looking at improving in terms of productivity of up to at least 25%. And where do these 25% actually comes in? We are talking a lot basically in site operations. Okay, with the site operation reduction of 25%, you'll be getting a lot in returns, such as you will be having a higher quality in terms of the development that you're having. You're getting things that you would like to have, which is faster. You do not need to wait for another 5 years or maybe 3 years for the development to be completed. Okay, this will also allow a safe environment for all the workers to be working in as well. Moving on, just to share a bit more about Novade. So we are actually a company that helps to build companies or to help companies that is in building and construction industry to drive their digitalization or digital transformation. How do we do that? We are doing it in a very simple way. Okay, not to complex the things, is to change the way you work, not your workflow, but by integrating all the paperwork, okay, by digitalizing all the paper into a single platform that can help you to collect data on the ground. And how do we collect data on the ground? We are having an app solution, a single app solution with 6 different modules from quality, safety HSE, reports, maintenance, workforce, and activity. With each of these individual modules, the people on the ground will be able to use this to collect data for the project, and the management at a higher level will be able to understand what is happening on real time, okay, in terms of site operations, which will give them a good advantage in terms of decision making. At the same time, these 6 different modules is actually open for the whole construction industry, including what we call the building segment and infrastructure segment as well. So for building segment, just to understand a bit more in terms of digitalization, we are looking into options for you to look to have it from prefabrications all the way to construction, handover, and even maintenance. So if during your current house, if you're staying in any of the condominiums, you probably have to pay like your money maintenance fees, so on and so forth. But do you know where this money actually goes to? Do you know what are the kind of maintenance is being implemented in the condominium? So these are the reason why technologies is coming together to get everyone to be in place, all the stakeholders to understand the current situation. An example of building construction is the TRX project. We are
Attention to all audience, please wait for Mr. Gary. It is like a new norm being the seminar in online, so that I hope just from our team.
So for infrastructure, I'm sure you will probably understand infrastructure basically covers between bridges, tunnels, roads, rail, marine, inland, and even including airport as well. So we are also looking at providing digitalization solutions for infrastructure projects in Malaysia between Singapore and KL, which is the high-speed rail. We have also used this for other countries in Jakarta, where they are using it to look into quality inspections, safety processes, and even workforce management at the same time. Another very interesting project that we had was actually the tunnel construction. This tunnel construction was actually between two countries, between Lyon and Turin, where they are building tunnels for fast train, and there could be a road access as well in these tunnels. So moving forward, I would like to share with you a video about this project itself, a testimony for our clients, how it actually helped them to enable them to have their project reports done in real time and increase their productivity on the field.
Le chantier Saint-Martin-la-Porte 4, c'est un projet qui dure dans le temps depuis 2015 jusqu'à 2021, qui va mobiliser de nombreuses personnes. En pointe, on est plus de 500 personnes sur le chantier. On réalise 10 km quasiment au tunnelier, 2 km en méthode traditionnelle, avec beaucoup d'aménagements de type pompage, électricité. Donc c'est un chantier qui tourne en permanence, en 7 jours sur 7, 24 heures sur 24. Et ça crée une multitude de données, donc à minima entre 8 et 10 rapports par jour, qui traditionnellement doivent être repris par le conducteur de travaux sous forme d'une synthèse. Et tous ces papiers, quand on les empile sur la table, ça demande beaucoup de place, déjà physique, ça demande énormément de temps, 2 à 3 heures par jour, pour refaire une synthèse qui n'est en fait qu'une compilation des données déjà existantes. La solution de digitalisation des rapports était voulue comme une démarche qui permette de focaliser les personnes sur leur rôle essentiel, qui est d'optimiser nos process et de ne pas perdre de temps à un traitement ou un retraitement ou un super traitement des données. Donc perdre un temps fou à traiter la donnée et à ne pas l'exploiter.
Donc moi j'utilise Novade pour tout ce qui est suivi de production, de travaux au front, pour pointer les différentes tâches et leur durée, voir les problèmes qui sont passés. L'application nous a permis de gagner du temps en fait sur tout ce qui est suivi. Ça nous permet d'avoir une vision plus globale en fait qu'on n'avait pas sur le papier. Ça permet aussi de remonter l'information plus rapidement aux conducteurs de travaux.
Alors l'application apporte très rapidement toutes les informations dont on a besoin pour pouvoir identifier le personnel présent sur le chantier, les quantités et les matériaux mis en œuvre. Ça améliore forcément la communication, ça améliore également le transfert d'informations.
Donc la solution de digitalisation permet un échange rapide entre les personnes sous des trames qui sont prédéfinies, donc aucune perte de temps sur le retraitement des données, c'est toute la machine qui le réalise, ou la plateforme. Et là, l'avantage, c'est qu'aucune perte de données n'est possible, étant donné que les serveurs sont sauvegardés en permanence. Le but premier est d'avoir une application qui soit reconnaissable par tout le monde sur un smartphone. Donc ça ne perturbe pas les gens de devoir faire leur rapport. Et étant donné qu'on est extrêmement simple dans ce qu'on demande, les gens adhèrent au projet puisqu'en fait ça leur prend peut-être entre 2 et 5 minutes pour avoir un rendu qui est efficace tout de suite.
Grâce à la simplicité de Novade, en fait, j'ai pu faire adhérer toutes mes équipes à passer du papier au numérique.
Novade, ça nous a apporté de l'efficacité, de la clarté et de la rapidité.
Performance, gain de temps, digitalisation, donc c'est bon pour l'environnement, et avec une diffusion de l'information en instantané et sauvegardée en permanence.
So once again, from this video, right, you can see that they are looking into helping them to enable them to get real-time reports, increase their productivity. Even they mentioned, right, in terms of data sharing is actually one of the very important functions that they have looked into as well. So after understanding why the market needs to digitize and why, or in fact, what are the benefits that brings to them, next we look at what happened after digitization. This is where we look into digitization and AI. Having all the information that is gathered from the ground in terms of data that comes to you, we will actually look into analyzing the information in terms of analytics. In terms of analytics, so you will require a big data, a very strong and powerful analytics to help you into making a good decision, right? And what are the general, I will call the scale up function, right? What are the typical roadmap for digitalization? Okay, so if you are looking at a company or someone that has started without even the processes, I can almost guarantee you that it will bound to fail. Okay, because digitalization does not create functions or processes for you. It actually comes in to help you in terms of your processes. So very importantly, the very first step is to define the processes that is on the ground, organize your work, what is going to happen within the whole workflow. Subsequently, the next step, we look into automations. That is where we have mobile devices that comes in to help you to collect data, just like what you see from the video. The people on the ground, even the foreman who is working in the tunnel is actually using a mobile device that is helping him to create or input informations so that the team in the site office is able to understand what is happening in real time. After collecting all the data, we will go into what we call the descriptive analytics. This is very important because, you just imagine that you have one big chunk of Excel sheets with all the data, all the information that is inside in your one single Excel sheet. But, without the table, without the filter, without you knowing like some formulas, this whole table basically means nothing to you. So this is where we need to prepare a description analytics for the users to understand, right? Get them to understand what does all this information means. And by doing that, understanding what this data is providing them, then that's where we will teach the machine to learn and to give you what we call the predictive analytics. This is something that is going to be very powerful, and this is something that everyone will hope to have. But always imagine and remember, if you don't even have a single source of data from the ground, then basically your predictive analytics means nothing, right? And this is where we have predictive and prescriptive analytics that can even recommend you what to do in the future. Okay. Moving forward, everything will be in one place. Everything will be in the cloud system. Everything will be able to allow you to access data across all projects. You will be able to conduct very powerful analytics, and from there you will generate very great or in terms of data-rich reports, which is going to be done within minutes instead of, you have a team of 10 or 20 people sitting in an office room for weeks just to generate one single report. Digitization and AI will benefit everyone. From the industry, digitization boosts the productivity and help deliver affordable homes and infrastructure. You will be able to harness the technology to help and make every construction site a safer place and to save life, delivering high quality of projects and well-maintained building so that it can last much longer. And moving forward, I believe even including in Malaysia, everyone in the region is actually adopting prefabrications method, where you build up the wall or even the roof in a factory before sending it to the construction site to be attached together. And this method is proven that it will definitely reduce waste and energy consumption in the construction site. On my very last part, I would just like to say, even in construction industry, we will need to learn to innovate. We will need to learn to put things together through descriptive analytics or even through AI. Or if not, eventually, what I call it as an EOL, which is end of life, where the company will generally suffer in the long run. Thank you very much. And that will be my last slides for the day.
Thank you, Mr. Gary, for the valuable knowledge and experience shared with all of us. We will then proceed with Q&A session. So if anyone has any question, you can share with us in the chat box.
Thank you very much to Mr. Gary for very good presentation and also very valuable knowledge. I just want to recap regarding Novade. Novade can give us all the digitalizations in terms of construction phase and so on. I'm wondering whether the client, for example, usually this Novade software will be used by our team management, project management team, and then I'm wondering about, does the client will accept the raw report from our, or the data, for example, from the Novade? What is your opinion?
Thank you. I think this is a very, very good question, right? So, through digitization, right, or in fact from Novade itself, we are not only collecting data from the ground. Okay, ultimately in the solution, in the software, we are actually able to do very highly configurable reports. So we always discuss with our client what is the kind of reports that they are looking at. There will be a full dashboard, that shows like what is happening on real time. They can easily download PDF reports as well to what they would prefer to. There will be photos captured inside, and also I would say that it's going to be a raw data reports, but it's actually a very comprehensive reports that most of our clients will actually depends on if they embark with us on the solution.
Okay. And one more question.
Yes,
Mr. Gary. What is the detail? For example, can the software Novade detect the worker comes to the site? For example, can the Novade detect what is the detailed part of the software? For example, like that. Or else, other than that, usually we input the data and then the Novade will process, right? What is the details data that Novade can capture? That's all. Thank you.
I think, thank you again. This is a really very important question, and I believe after this sharing, you will have a better understanding. So, Novade, the basis is actually to get data from the ground. So, how do we get data from the ground? So, that's the big question mark, right? You have seen 2 videos, and most of them you will probably see like a lot of people using their mobile device, inputting informations into the mobile device, right? So that is generating what we call the site reports or site information into the system. Okay. Over time, we have also evolved a lot together with the industry needs as well. So we have generally we have included 2 things, what we call the IoTs, okay, Internet of Things. That's one of the very famous stuff, which is cameras. We have AI cameras as well. We have incorporated with our system. So I'll just use as the most current pandemic situation as an example, right? So our system have actually incorporated with thermal cameras, okay, with AI cameras as well. So it will be used in site operations where they put this at the gate of the site. So anyone that comes in, they will have to take the temperature automatically. They will capture the facial recognition even with the mask on. I'm sure you have seen this in probably shopping malls or in some buildings in Malaysia as well. So with that system, 2 things that actually happen, right? First thing is actually capturing the temperature. It will be recorded into the system. It will be stored in the data system. So if in the very unfortunate event that the government came in and said, hey, there's high records in this site, we need to pull out all the people that's coming in with all their records, temperature, they can actually use Novade, pull out all the information, capturing everybody that comes into the site with all their body temperature data. Okay, that's one. The second thing is that you can control your site entrance. That means to say that you can easily deny access. Okay, so the first deny access will be, of course, when the person is having fever. So when the temperature is higher than 37.5, for example, it will show a red flag. It will not allow the person to enter. The second thing that it does is that you can pre-register people. That means to say that this site, I only have 100 registered workers. And if this another person, maybe let's say from public that's trying to walk in, they will not be able to access it because it does not recognize his facial. It does not have the registration. So that is another thing that we are doing to help in terms of this current pandemic situation as well. Yeah.
And one last question.
Yes.
Jerry, what types or what kind of element to make Novade software is intelligent? Can you please share to us?
Okay. So I would say to start off with is actually people, right? Because we do have a very strong team of data science people in our HQ. They have been generating and studying data. So the second thing is basically data. I would say there's no specific secret. Okay, it's the same from big boys like Google, any of this, I would say the new era of technologies, right? So basically they need a lot of data that comes in. Then they will be able to create what we call a learning environment. Okay, when with that learning environment, you will be able to stimulate and to predict information in the future as well. Okay, so I would say as a nutshell, it will be very much the same. With data science that's moving in as well, that is incorporated in our solutions that will be able to help all our clients or even people that looking into site operations.
Okay, thank you very much for the answer. So we have the question in this chat room. Hi sir, may I please know how Novade select or identifies top performers? How does the software aid in the selection process? Thank you.
Okay, good question, but I just need to understand a bit more what do you mean by top performers. Basically, I think in a very simple nutshell, again, is what we call a repetitive of work, right? So if every day, or if this task, or if this, let's say, on the construction context, like a defect, if this is repeated throughout the whole construction, so the more it repeats, I think that will technically become the top performance of the chart, right? In terms of what is happening on the ground. Okay, and with that repetitive work that is happening and it keeps going on, it will definitely be able to generate patterns, and that is where we are able to capture it as a data learning as well. Okay.
Okay, Mr. Gary.
I hope I answered that question.
Okay, one more question, Mr. Gary. Hi, Mr. Gary. My questions are: will the implementation of digitalization impact on the life cycle cost of the project? And does additional training needed for workers to use the software? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. This is a very important question. Okay, so first I will answer the part where does training needed, right? To be very honest, I think maybe during my era time. Okay, let's start from my era time. I started off with using internet, using what we call the dial-up. I'm not sure if you all still remember or you all have heard about this thing. It's basically called the dial-up system. So where we need to actually make a phone call using our computer to the internet system. Then we get linked up and then we have the internet, right? And from that era until today, where you just flip up turn on your laptop, your Wi-Fi started doing the automatic searching and all, and you get connected to the internet. Okay, so during that point of time when we started with dial-up, there's actually a lot of training. Okay, even teaching the public, right, what is internet, how you actually start to get connected to internet, and what can you use with internet. Okay, there's a lot of public education as well, right, in terms of internet. So what I'm trying to say here is that technology actually evolves, and whenever there's a new technology that comes in, there will definitely be a lot of trainings for people that comes in, right? Even including yourself, right? Today, where the whole group of every one of you are here to actually understand more what is the kind of technology that's evolving in the near future, right? So that is a form of training. That's what I feel. Okay. But as we move on in the later stage, when you actually step up into the workforce, do you still need that training? Talking about this digitalization, I would say yes, in terms of something that's more advanced. But in terms of collecting data, I believe everyone will have a better idea. You do not need to have a very specific kind of trainings in that area anymore. It's just like now, right? You do not need to learn how to get connected into the internet because it becomes a habit to everyone. So substantially, it will be a habit, okay, when things goes on and everyone is getting used to this. Okay. Implementation of this digitalization will it impact the life cycle of the project or the life cycle cost of the project, basically? I would say yes, but when we say impact, there's always two sides of a coin. There's the bad impact and there's the good impact, right? So for a start, people will always think that it's actually a very negative impact because the cost that comes in fact, I can share with you, I do have clients that tell me, hey, for me to get involved in this system or this solution, I can easily hire 20 people, okay, with the cost to do the same thing, right? So my question back to him is that, then why didn't you hire the 20 people now or in the past to get the same job done? You see, the whole idea of this digitalization is not so much about the cost in the fact that what you're spending, but it's more of what you're gaining in the future. Right? If you do not spend wisely on the correct items, definitely there will be a negative impact to your whole project. Okay, but if you understand what you need and what you want, it will definitely bring positive impact to your whole project for a few reasons. One, you will be able to complete the project much earlier than you expected. You spend lesser in terms of rectifications of your defects issue. You have lesser complaints from the owners, for example. You have a better brand name on your site as well. So there is definitely a lot of other positive impact that comes in that will help you in the long run. I hope I answered that part.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Gary. And
thank you.
Let me recap or conclude. In my point of view,
Sure.
Mr. Gary, okay, in my point of view, Novade have the intelligent software, which is not only we can gather, integrate all the information, but only can predict and also analyze and also predict. Then there is something that the company will not do the same mistake. So, for example, the resources, we can reduce the resources to do the small work, for example, something like that. Am I right, Mr. Gary?
Yeah, I would say in the gist that there is something that is what it is. But I always advise people start basic. That's the reason why I show the graph. Processes, you must make sure you have your processes. Then you look into what's the next step. I have talked to big companies. They have failed from the first time because it's not done properly, and they have a big fear of going into digitalization. I have also talked to companies who is very clear of what they want. They know what they want. They know what they need. They talk to people. They tell them that this is something that they are looking for, and eventually they will succeed in the whole journey because this is actually a very clear path of their goal. Right? So this is something that I think is a very important session to bring forward, not just to understand the technologies that's available in the market, but is to understand what is the ultimate goal, having these solutions that incumbent with your project. Yeah.
Wow. Very good explanation from Mr. Gary. Okay, and now I would like to read the question from Facebook. So there is no question, Mr. Gary, on Facebook. So with that, we end our session with Mr. Gary. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. Now, I give the floor to the MC to deliver.
I believe that is all the time we have. We are done with the first session.